There we go.
Welcome to
Here we go.
Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. And by George, we're right in the midst of election time. I'm sure there's national election. I'm sure you're getting it on social media big time. Okay, that's fine. But we're bringing it here locally, here in the state of Oregon, i.e. Portland, which is the largest city in the state of Oregon. And if there are any activities, every state in the union has their own Portland. Mm-hmm. and it's where the issues are, they're sitting on in that major city. And here we are in Portland, Oregon, and we've just gone into a new, i.e. changing our form of government here in the city of Portland. And that's a very interesting thing. And then we're doing it right at the point in time when there's a much need, if you will, to focus on our major issues. And it's a tough one. And I want to make this point across right now at this point in time because it's very important. We're going through an election aspect of it. The form of government is that we've districtized the city of Portland into 4 different districts. And now we're going to have 3 commissioners per district. And so that we're going through that process of finding those representatives for those respective districts. Not an easy task, especially with the fact that we've got the major issues. A lot of times people talk about homelessness aspect of it, our drug issue aspect of it. You go round and round and round and round and whatever, and the economics of it all. And so we got problems. And so consequently, we almost have a kind of an OJT, on-the-job training kind of a situation for a lot of the folks who are running for office because, that's the scape of what it is, the definition. And it sometimes it can be a detraction. Mm-hmm. But I will say I give respect to anybody who signs their name at this point in time. But the most important part is that we've got communities here who are in dire need of solving some of the problems. In all due respect, our citizens living in the community, especially seniors, don't have time. They can't get out. They won't get out of their homes. They can't go to the local grocery stores anymore. Our young people are pretty well plagued with all kinds of deal. We got firearm proliferation in our city, our state, but here in the major cities, we've got that problem. We got drug problems aspect of it. And in all due respect, we've got folks who are already elected to office that are not able to respond to a lot of the issues because they don't have the background in many ways. We've been running it so far. In all due respect, the business community has pretty well been the leading force in terms of getting that leadership. And now we're changing. And I've been around for quite some time, so consequently I've run for office in many ways, and it's kind of given me a sort of an insight of keeping up with the situation. And here at community television, this is community television that we have here. Many of you are looking at the show in that aspect of it. And so it's important that I shared that little part on the front end. Mm-hmm. Because now what I plan to do, I am not running for office. I am not running for office, making it very clear. I've been running for office ever since I've been on the show, so to speak, in my social. I've knocked on everybody's door, just basically sitting where I've been sitting here, aspect of it. But also I've been very familiar with all of the issues, and that's an asset. So what I'm saying to you is that that's what we're going to be doing, and that's what I'm going to be doing here with reference to focusing on the whole issue of our new form of government, by focusing on the representation that's going to be coming up. And so now we're really getting into an educational format aspect of it. And so part of the format of what we're doing now in terms of how we're running the show is that the job is to educate the people who have filed to run for office to clearly understand that you've got to have a resume. You got to have a lane, and that's what we're looking for. Recognizing the fact that the majority of the folks who have filed don't have lanes, and in all due respect, and they're not community in many ways. And so we're looking for folks who have some historical background that can talk to those issues, that can bring everybody else up to speed. So it's like saying so many words, my support and endorsement in many ways of folks who have been familiar with the community to begin with aspect of it, because that's where you start. And we're going to go through that phase, and you'll see that I'm going to be trying to invite guests at this point in time that will be educating you in some aspect of it. And some of the other folks who are going to be running for office don't have the background, but the bottom line, at least they'll have some ideas of what there is in need to, and maybe they've got to have something. At least one thing I show respect. If you're going to file to run for office, you got to understand that's a big step in itself.
Yes, it is.
But right now, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about the needs of dealing with the issues that we're dealing with, and that's a very, very important piece. So as you see, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be basically bringing on folks who have that background and that history in many ways, and then I'll be bringing other folks in there who don't have the background aspect of it, but now it's sort of like they're back in boot camp, just like I was in boot camp to a certain point in time, military type routine. But the bottom line is that it's very, very important. And so, but remember one thing. If you're running for office, you are really an employee. The employers are the community.
Yes.
Very important. Very important. So try to go through your resume to find out how you identify within your own background and resume to the issues in your own words. Got me? And there's nothing wrong with that, because now you're filed, and that's what we got to deal with. So you got two things. You may either catch up or whatever, but trust me, I can pretty well tell you. I can look at anybody with a resume and pretty well tell you you have but it might be minimum. But the bottom line, you can learn, because now that you sign, you got to remember, you're employees. This is not about i.e. that you're employers. No, we're the employers. The community is the employers. This is community television. Got me? And so that's why I'm doing what we're doing. This is the only medium that we have within our city that talks to community. Everything else is commercial. All of the entities that I'm talking to candidates now, all of the entities that you've been interviewing with are basically a commercial kind of a situation. It's a commercial situation. You're paying for the ad. Mm-hmm. These people are working. They're not employees of the community. Okay? They're a representation of, if you will, in most cases, the employers of the corporate community and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So it's important that we know this, but I want to make sure that we understand this, because now, any of the shows that I'll be doing at this point in time, I will always be giving a little introduction in terms of what you need to know about what we're looking for as employers, okay? And I just happen to be a resident myself too, so that's what we're looking for. We're not taking anything away from you, but the fact of the matter is, understand where I'm coming from, okay? So with that, I've got my first guest right off the bat, which is someone that I've known for a number of years and who's born and raised here. I wasn't born and raised here. I came here as a Marine recruiter. And it just so happened her parents were neighbors of mine when I moved up in the northeast off of Mallory. And we went this Mallory up here in northeast Portland aspect of it. And I've been knowing Liz Taylor, who's been around for quite some time. And Bethlehem East Church which I know where she was from. And at some point in time, I was there too. Mm-hmm. With A. Lee Henderson and folks like that. And I mean, it was quite a community.
We know you're still there in spirit.
Oh, yeah.
You're a lifetime member.
I can't leave. But anyway, I wanted to introduce Liz because she happens to also be a candidate running for office in District Number 2. But what she represents is that she represents the history of how the community was at one point in time, back in those days, and she grew up here. The whole 9 yards. She's been around. I'm gonna let her. She'll going to share more than that. So we're going to have a good conversation, and I'm going to ask her kind of. She's been in the marketing. She's been in that end of it, aspect of it, but what we want to do with this particular segment is to educate the community. That we want to make sure that in all due respect, we're going to be trying to identify someone who's running for office. One of those seats need to be community. One of those seats need to be communities. And she also happens to be a senior citizen too, also, which is another entity that I was very concerned with reference to the listing as I saw it. I didn't see any well, even the communication that I've seen of some of the debates that have been happening of late is not really focused on the senior citizen. So anyway, she brings that piece to the table also too. But she also knocked on a lot of doors through her salesmanship stuff. And she dealt with a lot of the other entities, whether it be kids and family and all kinds of stuff, if you will. And so with that, I'm going to go on and let her start talking for a minute, because I think I said quite a bit of deal. But right front, you'll probably be seeing her on some other future shows as many shows as we can get in, because she's got more to say than the time that we have. Because we just have we're going to have the first 30 minutes, but we're going to get up to this particular point, whatever. Liz, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing good, but it's something else growing on.
Going on. Mm-hmm. Yes.
All of a sudden, it's almost like when you hit 70,
yes,
your body starts changing.
Yes.
So all you folks out there that are nearing that age, just give me a call or go to my website. First of all, Bruce, it's an honor to be here again with you. I want to thank you so much for the encouragement and the mentoring that you've done for me. I think like you said, you knew me before I was born.
Yes.
Grew up in the same neighborhood, and my eyes have seen, like Martin Luther King would say, my eyes have seen the glory.
Yes.
Of the changes that have been made. I'm here because I represent community, and a specific community, and everybody has their lane, okay?
Yeah.
But the specific community that I represent is the Black community, District 18, which was once had a 65% Black vote, and a community. That community has been completely destroyed, but it's not the first time that community was destroyed under a term called eminent domain. I want people to understand the things that public policy has experimented on. At least that's what research tells us. And this is a popular term now that's used for gentrification. I worked in the legislature in 1970. I started in 1977, 2 legislative sessions with Senator Bill McCoy, who was Jackie Winters. Today I've done legislation with Senator Lou Frederick. And for years and years and years, I mean, here we are in 2020, going on 2024, and we're talking about 1970, and we're still talking about Black Lives Matter. Well, I can't tell based upon public policy. Now that I'm older, and I've done research, and literally I've done research on a document called Demographical Study of Blacks in Oregon. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. I was like Kamala was one of the first to be, my family was the first to be bused outside of our community. Well, I think back and I tell myself, how dare public policy initiate and implement a program that Portland was not ready for. We were already how can I say, integrated. When you only have a district like District 18, we were already, it's only an 18 square mile out of this huge state. How do you feel about that?
Well, let me share this with you again. Where she's got so much information. That's why I've got to bring her back on again. District 18 again was an address, because every state in the union pretty well had a Black community. And when I years back, when I was involved, if you will, in community, they always said the Black community was in Northeast Portland. And Northeast Portland stretched out all beyond the airport and this, that, and the other. But the focus and the concentration of Blacks in the state of Oregon was in this small little area.
Right.
You got me? And so they went through a process under Vicatia. And I was part of that because I was at that point in time, I was kind of like the publisher of the Portland Observer. And we took on the list because we noticed that it was the only entity that didn't have an address. And so they went through the process of going through that. Every 10 years, the congressional districts change, if you will. And we came up with the idea of District 18. So we put boundaries. We gave it a boundary. And that was including of Lou Frederick, and when you think about the Abel Gordleys and the Margaret Carters and things of that nature, all of a sudden there was a Black presence You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that was 18. But unfortunately, politics was still vague. And I think that's kind of like when we sort of started talking about your getting involved to a certain degree, because we needed someone to communicate what that was all about as it was developing. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. All of a sudden, that the following change, if you will, of the congressional delegation, the Congress. Well, I'm sorry. The district itself, the congressional district, it went back open process, and we don't have an 18 anymore.
Exactly.
But the black community is there, and the definition of the black community was only focusing for the monies, because all federal
Exactly.
dollars that came in every state has a District 18, so to speak.
Exactly.
But they didn't have an address. So consequently, but the money came to the black community. That was the definition of minority during that particular time. And so the federal monies came there, and then the monies were dispersed. And rather than staying in that area, you needed an address. So if you take the boundaries out, then all of a sudden, the development and things of that nature didn't happen. Okay?
Yes.
And so that's where we are today. And so as a result of that, we I knew that how the real estate changed here in the state of Oregon, especially in the city of Portland, valuable property.
Exactly. And so when you think about real estate, then you have to ask the question, who is who has the power to make decisions on real estate, how much it's going to cost, how much would taxes be, where this person is going to live, where this person is going to be moved out, where this person is going to live next, how are they going to live? Are they going to live as sharecroppers, or are they going to live as homeowners? Who's going to control generational wealth? These are issues that there's still an elephant in the room.
Oh yeah. But it's going to be a change. I'm so glad that you're running.
Senior citizens, and I mean not all senior citizens.
Right.
All senior citizens that have made it to the age of 70 and still living, they did something right along the way. And they deserve to be. We have got a beautiful city here.
Oh yeah.
And citizens are the ones that help make that happen and bring it about. We have to, but yet, I don't understand why so many funds are being used for another group of people, and they're titled homeless people. When you invite, the way I was raised in my community, is when we have company coming, they're coming from out of state, I've invited them. We have to clean up before they get there. Everybody's teeth are polished, so to speak. The backyard is set up for enough chairs and seats for everybody to sit and enjoy themselves. We have to do our chore. Everything, we have to be in a position to provide beds for these people to sleep in with clean sheets. And I don't see how any public policy can invite a group of people to their city and tell them to sleep on the street like dogs. We've never, as far as it seems, I just don't understand. That's why I'm running, because I think the public policy does not have the community's concerns in mind.
Well, let me add that at that point. It's a good point. We got about another 10 minutes, at least for this segment, and I want to make sure we leave them with something, again, on another end of it. And that is, right now, let's say, for instance, in that particular seat, that's where you got 3 seats, and we got to talk about seniors. And that's what
Most
you bring
definitely.
to the table in many ways. And so when I think about that, the county is pretty well where the funds go now. They've got the seniors, as far as senior citizens are concerned. Okay, you got me? And they should be more represented on that.
Right.
But again, they're focused on other things, COVID and other this, that, and the other. But it's a large component. But someone has to commit. Normally, the county and the city are supposed to be working together. So a lot of the federal funds go there in many ways. And even then, when you start thinking about housing and real estate and this, that, and the county is there to a certain degree, because anything to do with housing per se is really a county responsibility. But a lot of times people just don't understand
Well,
There's nobody to focus on that particular piece, and a good researcher like yourself could find out. And I know that as we talked about this piece when I try to motivate you to run for office, it'd be at some point in time. But things are so complex. But we got to start. We got to start somewhere. So I would suggest that we got about another 8 minutes or so. Is that the other piece that we want to talk about? Maybe we'll do this on the next segment. Is that change of our young people? You know, our young people, and I reached out again to another entity that will talk to that issue aspect of it. But that's something that I wanted us to talk to about, because when you think that a lot of the young folks back in those days, they had moms and dads, and it was just a matter of just going next door and knocking, and then the young man would relate to that, and the kids were in the churches and things of that nature, and being, well, you know, it was there.
Well, everybody. Okay, I'm 70 years old. Born in Portland, Oregon, and in fact, I was one of the first infants to be christened in 1954 at Bethel AME Church. Bethel AME Church used to be located where the Coliseum is now, but through eminent domain. But when I grew up, snitches got kisses, okay, within the community, and those people that were being snitched on were usually family members, neighbors. What are you gonna say? But today, the way the society is, kids do not know each other. Research tells us, for example, children that were born, that grew up in a community that's been developed over years, a minority community or a marginalized community, and then all of a sudden, a new births are coming, and they're growing up. Those kids are growing up. They don't know each other. They could be relatives. They don't know each other. They don't know God. They don't know about the power of prayer. And I'm going to tell you, kids, whoever's listening, God is good and God is real. And he makes things happen. And he makes a way out of no way. We got children dying of fentanyl today. Drug use, and I'm going to tell you, the black children today are on the bottom of the list when you do the demographics on test scores. Ages 1 to 3. Well, if you can't read by the age of 3 years old, what are you going to do when you get to 4th grade and you can't read or write? You got to be able to write and read, be able to write something down. What happens when you get to high school? Okay, and but you're graduating with, the law says that we're going to change the rules and going to let you graduate with a sophomore proficiency rate. How are you going to grow? How are you going to develop when you get to college? You're not going to get to college, number one, because what's a sophomore proficiency rate compared to a senior proficiency rate? More time to develop your brain. Avell Gordy came up with a theory and a program and proved that our kids' brains are not developed yet to be able to have such stiff penalties when they create a crime. So how can we fight back against that, knowing that our kids need more time in education? And I have to, I have to pride myself, because my nieces and nephews, little cousins, I start talking to them when they're kids, and I tell them the one thing I say, and it works, because I tell them, we're not having no dummies in our family, no dummies, and they're like, okay, Liz. Okay, Auntie.
But you caught on, because you picked up your degree as a result of that, right?
Yes. However, that's it. We'll save that, what happened with my degree, for another show.
Yeah, well, right. But the fact of the matter is, you've transitioned up to a
Yes,
point.
I did.
And
Yes, I
think
did.
that's why I'm interviewing you this way, because people need to know that background and what 18 was doing, if you will, and how you were trying to address the 18 piece. And Abel Gordon, for instance, she's a former senator, state senator, and it all happened because of 18. Margaret Carter, District 18 aspect of it.
Charles Jordan.
Charles Jordan.
Charles Jordan was my Sunday school teacher.
All right. Well, see,
at
Charles,
Bethel.
he was city council person. As a matter of fact, he ran for mayor at one point in time. And so the bottom line is that there's a lot of history there, and a lot of things were happening when they had that address.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those dollars were spent there. The kids in school, Portland Public Schools,
Jobs.
had always had a record, if you will, of poverty and not spending much time, et cetera, when they spent. But all of a sudden they had a concentration on Portland Public Schools. But then by basically making sure that we had the right teachers and this, that, and it was graduating. And but the bottom line is that when the address disappeared, we went right back to the same situation aspect of it.
And let me add something too that we're talking about our kids.
2 minutes. Yeah, go on. Keep going.
How in 1970, I graduated in 1978 Portland State University, and one of my jobs was working with the Northeast Youth Service Center. I can't remember. I had umpteen marginalized, at-risk kids going through my office, and I would place them in jobs and pay their salary. Come 1979, that next summer, that money was gone.
Yeah.
And guess what? And that's when crack hit the community. And that's when the beginning of the downfall.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Then that's another show too, talking about drugs. But that's how drugs were first introduced into the community through the kids. And once they started seeing those dollar bills, they started going to jail, and it's called mass incarceration. But do you have any more questions of me? Because I got some.
Well, at this point in time, I tell you what, we're gonna wait and get this next show, because again, you're leading it off, because I've got someone that'll take the baton at this point in time.
Okay, that's what's
with
up.
his lane and so the transitioning. But again, this was all in '83. See, you got me?
Yeah.
When 18 was there, that's when Margaret Carter was elected.
Yeah.
When we had an address, and so that's why. So today, it's there now because of District Number 2, because that piece of property lies right in the middle of District 2.
I see.
See what I'm saying? So consequently, that's another reason
that's
why
my
I
home.
wanted to make sure that I get you back here to the table, so we can get that out to the folks who are running for office to understand what that history is about. And then race, now all of a sudden, they can understand what that race is all about. Because racism is still an issue, got me? But by basically bringing that history up, we were already on the right track, if you will, of getting it to be just a community where we were all here trying to make a living and taking care of our kids and whatever. So look, why don't we do that? And then I'm just going to invite this next guest over. You just take your time, and I'm going to have John come on over here on this other side, John, and help her get out of this chair.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Hold on for a minute, Bob. You got it. I'll get back to you. Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
I'm glad you were here for this session, though. Okay. Okay, buddy.
Okay, but I want to thank you. It's been a blessing. Are we out there?
You got some time later
Yeah.
on? You got some time? Well, wait a minute. I tell you what. Why don't you just spend a little bit? Give it. I want to get John back up in here. Okay, go on. Okay, go on.
Oh,
Can you stick around a while?
yeah.
Okay, come on. Come sit over there.
Excuse me.
Oh, hold up, John. Hold up. Let
I'm
me.
swinging.
Yeah. Antonio, come on right now. This is community television, folks. We're changing seats right now. We got Antonio coming up. He's taking the baton now. He is taking the baton right now. He's had the opportunity now to understand what was happening just beyond that time, and I've got Antonio here with me right here now, and what he's doing is, like I said, he was kind of like taking it over from a live standpoint, the same communication piece aspect of it, because during that particular time, during that transition, he was there. You know, he was born and raised here, and the whole 9-yard aspect of it, and he was basically caught in that same situation to a certain degree. But fortunately, it was at the start. Now, if it was here today, he might not be sitting here because he be saying,
No, these kids don't got a chance.
They don't have a chance aspect of it right now, and they don't even recognize family. I mean, it's a tough situation. I mean, because even as we transition, you know, I make that point across real quick here, is that I basically caught it at another stage, and it was that Marine Corps that got me. I transitioned too, but I had that Corps, and I spent that time in there, and that otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here. See?
For sure.
So what we're going to do now, we're just going to continue on now from where Liz left off, and come up with Antonio. I reached out to him early on. I was doing a couple of shows here at cable community television, and it just so happened he introduced himself to myself, and vice versa. We rapped a little bit, found out about his family, and then the other thing he had that related to me, really my eyeballs got up when he said Marine Corps. And naturally I was familiar with that. When he said Marine Corps, I thought initially he said Marine Corps, he was in boot camp and this, that, and the other. And I've transitioned that whole piece. And so we just hit it, because I knew how he was addressed when he got in the Corps, but I also knew that he was at the other end of my tenure. He was there with my boot camp, but he was there, and so consequently, race was an issue then too at that point in time. And anyway, the long and short of it all is that he was there at the Corps, and so we developed a relationship there, and then I basically brought him back here to the community, because this whole transitioning of the city was changing. And so I saw an opportunity here when I talked to him about his past and his background, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and the fact that he was introduced to this whole issue of the gang life aspect of it, whatever. But it was a different day. It was a different day, and we talked a little bit more. And what better opportunity to have someone on to talk to that whole issue of his transitioning and where he's sitting here today. And there are certain aspects about his life that would be of benefit to educate the young people today, and those young people that were there before him, right after him, if you will, that are still kind of like on the verge trying to eat and steal, etc. There's a criminal justice system aspect of it that are still there, and there's a lot of situation there, and people are trying to transition, etc., etc., etc. And so that means a lot. And so again, because of this whole idea of the changing of the city, the district, the whole issue of the new city, right? We got 3 seats, and one of those seats has to be something about public safety, and I could see that in him because of the fact that 18 is right in the middle of District Number 2, and I'll be very straight up front with you. The majority of the residents today, because of the whole issue of the country and whatever, are white. It's almost like it's a whole different ball game, and these folks are kind of like ahead of the deal, and sometimes we need to know that this is a community, and folks are still having the, i.e. identifying, i.e. blacks as problems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and that's not an easy task, and I might add is that so consequently we're looking at trying to get the type of leadership so that we can. So these issues can be talked to the table to transition us out into a situation where we've got a community that it involves it all, and our young people and whatever. And so this is what Nathaniel is all about. And again, like Liz, he's going to be coming on here a little bit more often. Every time we do a show, we're going to have him on to do various aspects, because I want to talk to him a little bit about his introduction when he was a young person, his family, and this, that, and the other. Because in the next round, we'll get into what he's been doing. Kind of like, you'd be surprised some of the things that he shared with me about his exploits. It was it was great, fantastic. I didn't even have access to that. You see what I'm saying? But I enjoyed it because I knew some of the aspect of it. So anyway, with that, I think I've said enough, and I'm going to let you now, Antonio, introduce yourself and talk a little bit about family and how you were growing up here in the city of Portland, and some of the all the little goodies that you told me about. Talk to me.
I'm Mr. Petty John for one. I grew up right here. All the kids came to my house, all the ghetto kids. My dad was a successful consultant, so he was pretty well off, and I come from a long line of political figures, strong, leaders of the city.
And mention that name if you don't mind.
That's Jim,
Booker, like Brother Booker.
No, Jim Pettyjohn is my dad, and then we're associated with the Goldsmiths, but that's neither here or there. That doesn't have anything to do with us. We had a strong effect of getting him to the position that he was in, and my biological grandfather was the first black accountant, banker, and leader of this community. Who brought together other leaders that he felt had leadership qualities and ability, and they developed Portland. You know, what do I mean? I mean, one person had the laundromat, other person had a store, and my grandfather had the bank. And
Venerable Booker, you're so modest about the Venerable Booker had the first black bank.
Yeah,
in District 18.
Yeah, yes. Your partner.
Yes.
Venerable Booker.
Venerable. Doing real well. Real well. Keep going. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So that's my bloodline, you know, and I end up running away from the legacy for a while and going to what I thought the culture was about. I thought, you know, our culture was being a gangster or a player and all this. So I ran to that, you know, and ran away, experienced that, seen it wasn't any real friends, everything's fake. So I remember who really loved me and cared for me, so I returned to those people.
And you met this other Marine that you had.
Yeah,
Otherwise, if I didn't have that cover on, he'd be the lead.
Yep. And
he said, "What are you talking about? Don't tell me nothing."
See, I got a long line of Marines in my family, so me and Mr. Bruce, we have that connection through family and through the brotherhood, Marine brotherhood. So, you know, I too have some experience with the military, you know, so I have a lot of discipline and a lot of ability that can easily be overlooked because it's not something that I'm trying to prove to someone, or I don't need anybody to say, you know, I'm doing something good, or, you know, like I don't need to be followed. If you know, but if you see the ability and you see the route I'm going, then you know to be in your best ability.
Well, that's where I'm at, and I'm gonna come right in, and that's how I caught it. That's basically how we did it, because even then, before we talked about that piece, I'd run across him when I was a Marine recruiter, right off of MLK, by Burger Barn.
Yeah,
got me, and but I missed him. Yeah, because during that particular time we had expungement.
Yeah,
I mean, because I was always going to the court systems and dealing with the judges, and a guy named Carter, who was the assignee, if you will, to the judges. Yeah, who happened to be a Marine. Yeah, he would call me up and say, "Hey, look here, Bruce, I think I have a good one." I said, just as long as he hadn't blown anybody away yet.
Exactly.
Then call me. So I'd go to court, and the judge would say, "Okay, fine." And he dismissed he'd get recess, and then I'd go back in the back to see whether or not the person might be able to do it.
And I was one of them kids.
And he was one of them.
Yep.
And he was one of them. But
they expunged my record. So I did have a record, but it's like nothing anybody could speak on.
That was legit.
Yeah. That was legit. I'm done with that stuff. I've been done for over 20 years.
Yeah, but we need it again, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We need it back within that system, you know, because that's how I did. I just focused on that. I had the first Marine Corps recruiting office on the corner of Shaver and MLK in the state of Oregon. There's never been another recruiting office in the Northeast Corridor in District 18. Yeah. You got me? And the same thing with the Burger Barn. We tried to put together Burger Barn was going to try to expand it, you know, and those folks that were there were solid folks, community folks. But anyway, that's another. But this is your time. Let's talk a little bit more about you, a little bit more. How you transitioned.
So I ended up getting in some trouble. I ran away, got in some trouble, ended up in the penitentiary. Before I went to the penitentiary, I ended up back with the Marine brothers, did some boot camp, lost my temper there, got in some trouble, got AWOL'd, and had to leave, you know, from there as well. I was a very troubled child, you know. It's like, it seemed like everybody was jealous of me, and I didn't understand it because I really had a big heart.
And a strong character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So they always be attracted to me.
That's why I was attracted to you, because as a Marine Corps, we was the kind of folks we were looking for.
Yep.
And I had that ability to communicate, so they would listen to me for a moment. And when they went through that boot camp training, when they got that graduation piece, they were ready for the world.
Yeah.
And we were looking for leaders. See, we were looking for leaders, if you will.
Yeah.
And we wanted you to keep that mindset, but we were going to track it into a more positive vein aspect of it. And so that's where you are. So like I said, God was good.
Yeah.
We contacted here.
Yep.
Had I not missed you, you'd been going in another direction.
Yep.
But still following with what you're doing.
I mean, I know you see me all these years cleaning my act up anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like you said, God told me to meet you at a certain time, so you could actually put your arm around me, because you've seen all the resume.
Oh yeah.
So it was like over a course of 10 years we seen.
Yes. Oh yes.
But it could have got, for the listeners, it could have got a little tricky, because we got to stomp on something to get somewhere.
Yes.
So they don't tell you what they're doing to us. See, that's the contrary part, where they make us look like the monsters. But we really protecting you guys, because if somebody like me who has the ability, don't, like my elders say, don't stand up, then somebody who doesn't have the ability is going to get ran over.
That's right.
So by me standing up, I prevented you guys from getting bullied, mistreated, beat up, all that, because it was a good guy who actually had the ability to beat up people, who I said, I'm not going to put my hands on anybody, but if they put their hands on me or anybody I mess with, then it becomes a defense. So I'm excused by law and by the Lord. So I've committed myself to taking care of my community, whether I have to stand up and get involved, or we can talk it out. But I have already committed, so it's like at this point, I'm willing to. A bullet can't stop me. It's not going to scare me. It might take my life, but it's not going to stop me from what I'm called to do. So, being entering gangs, it taught me how to be brave, and being a leader of a gang taught me how to hold water. And I have the street code, so with all my brothers and you guys, I never really reveal too much. So that's another part of my gangster mentality, where I don't do the bad things no more, but I have this oath, this secret oath that I'm gonna hold, like the G code. Like I'm not gonna do anything. It ain't really about snitching. It's just about like protecting my people.
Your lane.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna hurt you guys.
Right.
And it's time for somebody who doesn't really want it to have it. Like I have my own lane, which is taking care of people and animals. So by me taking up your role and lane, I'm already been doing this public safety, but now it adds that extra protection, extra promotion, to it. So now I can step into it and fully grasp what you guys been teaching me and pointing me in a direction to become on my own.
That's right. That's the baton.
So that's why it's been so long.
Yes.
Because it was like you guys were waiting.
Yes.
And kind of prepping me.
Yes.
Until I felt like doing it.
Yes.
When this bad thing happened between our elders, losing, strokes and stuff. So it made me stand up, because I have to be a voice now to tell what happened. What happens to us when we get older, how our young people mistreat us and raise our blood pressure. And the same way they come to you guys, and you say anything about me, they're going to get jealous and try to give you a heart attack. It's like something crazy going on in the water, where we feel like we have to bash one another.
Yes.
And that don't do nothing. It just makes us look crazy, and we don't get nowhere. It's other ways to destroy your opponent besides using KKK tactics. And keeping it going.
On that particular point, I think about that boot camp time, and when we got to that particular point, and it was there for us, they gave us Pugo sticks. Remember those? You were there during that particular time, and you get people because I was a leading force
Yeah.
of my platoon.
Yeah.
I was the head dude, and I was the only black there, but I was always fighting.
Fight.
But that platoon sergeant always kept me in line and understood what my track was all about. I was a leader, and so I was always fighting initially. So he made me the platoon captain.
Yeah.
Term. But we get those Pugo sticks. Anybody get any differences? Boom. If you didn't have the right size, we just gonna get the right size, and we entertain. That was our entertainment piece, and
and I'm a firm believer in that as well. Where me being your leader,
yes,
I believe in being a man, not
yes.
picking up weapons.
Yeah, right.
I mean, sometimes somebody needs a good old ass,
Yeah, right. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Good old fashioned.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, big time.
Yeah. You need one. even me if I get out of line. Anybody.
Yeah.
Anyone.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyone needs one.
But like I said, you did go through that Pugo stick initially.
Yeah.
Same with me, because ordinarily I'd be picking up a knife or something during my time.
Yep.
And in the day, it's picking up a gun.
Yep.
And it's a proliferation of a gun.
There you go.
They're all over the place. You can get a gun when you ain't got nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm. And we want to establish that manhood back to where like you're not taking us away, you're eliminating us, and executing us. So now we're a dangerous species, and within the next so many years, all the young guys gonna be gone.
Yes.
So it's time for the leaders of the youngsters to step up with me.
Yes.
And you guys got to stop the killing, man. Because it's not a game. It's like you just executing. I know you looking at it like that, but it's like we have years and years of connections with these people.
Yes.
Family.
Right.
So you guys got to work it out. Definitely got to work it on out, and that's what I'm bringing.
Yes, you are.
So me as a reformed gang member who, I'm not going to tell on you or get you hurt.
Right.
I just need you to come talk to me.
Right.
So after, me leaving the gangster world, I came to something where I'm showing you guys, look, it's this is it. That what we've been shown is not it.
Yeah.
How we talk and treat each other, that's not it. But it's gonna take some time.
Yes.
It's been instilled.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. I'm handing you the baton. You know what I'm saying? And your leadership skill, you got to maintain. It's very important, just like I was doing. But I'm giving it to you, okay? And from a standpoint of a senior like myself, I'm 86 years old. Normally they look at me as 68. Turn the numbers around. But the fact of the matter is, we need to realize that we need to give the young person the opportunity to take the lead with the baton, and vice versa. And we've been talking about this piece because at some point in time, you're going to be giving the baton away and raising. And then my thing is to recognize what the needs are in order for you just to survive and maintain. I went through that, and I did have some survivorship, and I could eat. And then so that was the other thing that you brought to the table that I thought was good, is that we talked about this piece, is that these young people need a job. And they got families too. They got kids. They may not be married, but they're fathers.
And like you said, as me being your leader, I also bring that.
Yes.
How do I bring that? Because I bring more sociology, more psychology, as we know, with the Global Unity Network, the base of it.
That's another piece.
Yeah.
we
Taking care of everyone.
We don't give up too much at this point in time. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted Antonio to come here, because he's going to be here too, and one of those seats should be filled with the whole issue of public safety, and then right up front with it, because he happens to be black, very proud as a person, a black American, if you will, and so bottom line, and it exists in District Number 2. And if anybody can basically change the mindset of those other majority folks, and we can get the word race out of our relationship, our race, the black and white thing, then we can really grow.
And that's another reason why you need me, because I come from both cultures. I'm the true definition of African American, born here in America to an African and a different cultured individual. So I'm bringing a whole team of people already. When I come in, I'm already have a whole database of network of people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. God was good. We met at the door.
Yeah.
The exit door. I pull you back in, you pull me back in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was great.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm sort of sharing with the viewing audience here aspect of it. We have the opportunity, if you will, to come up with a new form of government, so why not take advantage of this?
Yep.
That's why I had Liz on, because there's no one else that has her resume.
Mm-hmm.
I brought you on because there's no one else that has your resume. And this is not about snitching or this, that, and the other. Luckily, you can communicate.
Yep.
Because you've been there.
Yep.
'Cause too often what happens, a lot of times people are constantly bringing up programs when people get these gigs and they're supposed to be represented, but they've never been there.
Yeah.
And they don't have a resume. You got my point?
And I want them to understand how important it is for you, because I know these young kids love their elders.
Yes.
They love their grandma and grandpa.
Yes.
You know, and uncles and aunties. So
Well, that's why I thought you. That's why I threw 68 out to you.
Yeah.
I didn't give you 86.
and this is affecting that,
Yes.
because it's like, if we don't have any worthy leaders, you take a look at the candidates.
Oh,
you
yes.
know.
That's right.
They're not gonna care. None of them care. They care about that stray dog. They don't care about you.
That's right. That's
All right?
true.
They ain't saying nothing about me or us. And I'm a mix. You know, so they not even caring about me. They just say, watch how they treat me. I'm the best person they got.
That's right. That's right.
You know, treat me, ignore me, neglect me. So that shows you right there what type of leaders, if you have that ability to even do that. Me, I'm empathetic and compassionate. I'm always conscious. I'm a conscious leader. So I would never do certain things to people to add extra grief, because I've read so much. I know that grief can add to heart failure. I mean, that's wrong.
Oh, that's right. No, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. No, but that's the beauty of our relationship. God was good. I mean, He had to do that. He had to put us together. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to recognize you are taking the baton. And mine is there just to be supportive of bass.
It took about 10 years, but you always been protecting me, though.
But I had
finally give it to me.
But I had to catch you. I lost you in 10. But we wouldn't be sitting here had I got you in the court. Because when you got in trouble in boot camp, you'd automatically direct to me. And then, boom, I'd get involved. You'd still be in.
Yep.
But my point is that was designed. All of a sudden, here we are today. There's a need.
Yep.
This is the first time there's ever had this new form. I mean, all this is happening now.
Yep.
And that's why I'm reacting right here. And then no one has my resume.
No. And we need you. We don't have no other brother with the resume. I mean, and who's gonna actually hold us down. Most brothers gonna leave us, especially in a war.
Yeah.
And we don't want to get violent and illegal, but say we're under attack.
Yep.
We can only think of you.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Yeah. That's right.
Like if somebody comes in and be aggressive on the culture, I see it.
Yes.
They either thinking about me, you. It's not many, especially you the elder. So it's like we thinking of the oldest we have. We got a lot of young guys like me, but nobody standing up for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Like people who, let's say, terrorists who want to harm the black community or senior citizens. We can say, "Oh, Bruce," and then they back up.
Yep.
Do you know Bruce? Well, we don't got nobody that they can, we could say where it'll back them up. So I have to come.
Well, very important, very, very important. And in all due respect, this is community television. I just was fortunate enough. The good Lord gave me this spot. Being a former Marine recruiter, I stayed here, and I took this particular spot. And I've been very consistent about that. Very, very consistent, and always did. I ran in as far as I was concerned, I was elected when I was in the primary, because there was other folks there. I wasn't interested in being in the seat by myself.
Yes, sir.
Because I didn't have the background, so I built up that resume. So today was beautiful, because here I was. Had Liz not been here, because I reached out beforehand, God was good, and had you not been here, I'd be running for the same seat and having the same problems.
Yep.
But boy, when you guys came up, the good Lord brought you guys to the table and made my day. See, because now I need to spend a little bit more time with my family and myself. I need to go fishing more often, but this is my fishing. I don't play golf, so I fish here.
Yeah, that goes back to my sociology.
Yeah, yes.
You need fishing,
I know.
recreation,
Yes.
and this is what I'm going to bring.
Yes, yes.
More of this stuff, more buildings, more entertainment. Me being a musician and having friends that are top-notch musicians,
yes.
I turned the city back into the place it once was, the melting pot.
Yes, that was sweet.
For everyone,
Yes,
like back on y'all day, 40 years ago.
Yes.
They don't know, not even people my age,
Yes,
they don't know this was a music city.
Yes, exactly.
Festivals and,
Just on a side note, you may want to reach out to him. He's been around for a long time, and he's done music on his own aspect of it, and now he's getting at that point now in his age. He's something like 39 years old, but on paper he's 93. Paul Knowles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Paul Knowles. He was our music, if you will, and but there he is, and he's out there still reaching. In fact, I may give Paul a call, and we need to sit down and talk about that. Maybe there's a possibility he might put together a little restaurant or something, because we don't have no place to go. You were bringing. That's the other thought you had about bringing in kind of a concert type thing.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring in. When I get in, it's gonna be a complete change.
Yes.
We ain't talk about one establishment. We talk about this city is gonna be transformed. Downtown is going to be transformed. Those cities, those built. I don't want to give them too much because they always steal.
Right.
But
right.
they can't steal. They can take my idea, Well, I know they could. But I got the end is out, the details.
I know when you mentioned Bobby Bland that day, you might have mentioned his son, but I knew him then.
I got all those guys.
I know that
backing me up.
That's another story. That's another piece. We got to push on that piece. Yeah,
see, it's facts behind this.
Woo! Boy, this is heavy. Well, anyway, this is good. We got about another minute or so, but again, I just want to let the viewing audience know, and especially those folks who are running for office, especially those who, listen what's going on. This is kind of like a reincarnation of District 18 again. So hopefully, when they meet on that anniversary date, of the of the Congress, if you will, they need to put District 18 back in place. They need to put it back in place. It doesn't affect the city council at all, but it just happens to be sitting in District 2.
Right.
And then we can address those issues of how seniors eat. When you look at the cafeteria in District 18, where 18 was, it's really sad as compared to the other eating places for seniors around the city.
Right.
Okay? When you look at dealing with the whole issue of drugs and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? As far as support and the cities, the education and things of that nature, we now can go back and address it again, because a person like Liz, who's got her background, see, she can deal that piece. But that's her end, and she understands research big time like you do. But she knows she can go to the county when she's sitting there.
She has a bigger network. She's much older.
Yes. Yeah. But you are older, younger.
Yes, so I got those people.
So you got those people, and we got to make sure we take care of those people.
Yep.
And we got to make sure we address those issues.
And that's the problem.
And they're not addressing them.
That's the biggest problem.
Yes.
We know that our senior citizens need more attention. As far as money and love, but our youngsters are the really ones that's being a threat.
Yes.
We need to focus on the youngsters.
Yes.
Not the senior citizens.
Yes.
Because the youngsters are getting taken out, and they don't have the knowledge or the leaders. And then so you're going to put this successful Caucasian man up here who don't care nothing about him, and these kids can see that. And then they don't even know nothing about what goes on in our city. They're not even going to say nothing about us at all.
Well, trust me, that would be the first thing we talk about when you come on this next time around. We got about 15 seconds left. I want to thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for filing to run. And hopefully you'll be successful sitting in that seat. If not that, we won't be there anyway.
Absolutely,
okay,
next
fine.
year.
Yes, okay, fine. Folks, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Please share it with your friends. Take care. Bye. That was good. Did you like that, bro?
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, we gave it to him.
Oh, no, you got more. You know my son.